Hello, good morning and welcome to The United Stand. This is your Manchester United Transfer News Daily, where we talk about all the latest Manchester United transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. Well, the season is over. The transfer window officially opens on Friday morning. Manchester United need to go to work, and we've got some very interesting stories involving Tielemans, Skriniar, Rice, Sancho, Gueye and many more. But in the fallout of the game yesterday, it would be wrong of me not to start off with Paul Pogba. You'll all have seen the clips. The fans shouting, swearing at him in the ground, telling him to go, etc, etc. And I think, you know what, I'm going to come at this from a very different angle here, so bear me out. I totally understand the people who think it's disgusting, shouldn't be shouted at like that, just a player, etc, etc. But you know what, as somebody who's been doing fan channels for 5 years now, there's been many a time after a game I've swore about players and this, that and the other. So it'd be hypocritical of me to say it's unacceptable for a United fan to be swearing at Paul Pogba. Footballers get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds a week, and I think sometimes they forget where that money comes from. They think it's because they play football, and it is. But the money comes from the fans. The sponsors want the fans' eyes. The fans pay for merchandise and tickets. And the fans, effectively, are why footballers get paid so much money. And when footballers are not performing in a Manchester United shirt, then they are going to be open to criticism, and that's the bottom line. Did I like that clip? No, it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, but ultimately, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. The fans have every right to be very, very annoyed with Manchester United players at the moment. Moving on, let's start off with Yuri Tielemans. Playing well for Leicester at the moment, been on loan there from Monaco since January. Interestingly, he said himself, look, normally I'll go back to Monaco. I don't know where my future is going to be. Manchester United, Spurs and even Manchester City have been linked with him over the last few days. There was a thought that Leicester had some pre-agreed deal in place if the loan went well. That is not the case. So Yuri Tielemans, 22 years of age, centre midfielder for Leicester at the moment, Monaco player. Would you take him at Manchester United? To be honest with you, I've used him loose-lippedly, really, in the sense to say that going back to Pogba, if somebody said to me you can have Bruno Fernandes and Tielemans for Pogba, I would do that deal, and I would, because I think Manchester United's midfield needs depth, and I think Tielemans and Fernandes are those sort of players that at their age and their level of football, they'd be like, United to step up for me, I can become a better player there, and that's what United need at the moment. I think, I would look at it from that. Whether United can get Yuri Tielemans, I don't know. As soon as I heard the name Spurs, I thought, you know what, I can actually see him as a Spurs player. Can I see him as a Manchester United player? But we're going into the unknown with Manchester United. I think we need to wipe the slate clean in relation to, can I see him at United? Is that the sort of player? Because Ollie is meant to be selling something new. It's 6 years yesterday that Sir Alex Ferguson retired. And who would have predicted that we would have 6 years like we've had? So let's hope that whatever happens with Ollie, and I think I listened to all the fan cams, and you should as well, and I think Adams was very interesting. His concerns about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being a yes man. Well, let's find out if he's a yes man this summer, because we all know how we would do it at United, and we're just fans. He's Manchester United manager. He's got to spend a lot of money. He's got to remove a lot of deadwood. And I think Yuri Tielemans would be a decent signing for Manchester United. Which brings me on. I mean, this is what, transfer news, ins and out. It's going to start to gather pace week on week now. But what you are getting with the last game of the season, you're getting players coming out with comments now. They're not in the security blanket of their club. It's the end of the season. And interestingly, in relation to Declan Rice, who would tick the box of English player, which I'm not fascinated by. I'm not fascinated by getting young English players. I don't mind if they're young French players, Belgian players, whatever. If they're talented and they're going to grow and they're hungry, then that's what United should look at. What I do like about Tielemans is the fact that he's Premier League proven now. Dutch, Premier League proven, young, great, hungry, talented, brilliant. Declan Rice, English, young, talented, hungry, good. Pellegrini is manager, coming out for the second time in 2 months saying that he doesn't know where he'll be. There's big teams that are looking at him, and he can't say one way or the other whether he'll be at West Ham or anywhere else next season. I mean, Declan Rice would be a good signing. Is he infinitely better than a Scott McTominay, who's actually 2 years older than him? Is he infinitely better than an Andres Pereira, who is still here? That's for your choice to make. And I think Declan Rice would probably cost around 60 million because of the young English player tax. I'd be excited by a signing like this. I think it's I've not watched lots of him. I'm not going to say that I have, but what I have seen of him, I think he has got that tenacity, which I liked, the speed across the ground. He's good on the ball and he puts in a good tackle. I think United need that sort of a player. For me, I've always been consistent. I'm not made up on Scott McTominay. I don't actually believe Scott McTominay is this talented young player that a lot of people think he is. I just think he's a player that puts in a lot of effort in a team that doesn't put a lot of effort in. So Declan Rice would be an interesting player, and certainly I think West Ham are putting out the rumours there that they would like to sell him, which is surprising. I thought West Ham would be a little bit more, oh no, we're not interested in selling him, but he's an interesting player as well. If you're asking me who I'd prefer, Tielemans or Declan Rice, I think Tielemans is more of a box-to-box, whereas I think Declan Rice looks a little bit more of a CDM, so why not both? But I think I'd probably go Tielemans. I don't know about you. Get in the comments below about that. Let me talk about Milan Skriniar. He's a centre-back that I really, really like, and I think that Koulibaly, Varane, Maguire, probably going to be the more likely player that United signed this summer. But Skriniar was a player I mentioned last summer. There was always a bit of uncertainty with Skriniar because he's at Inter Milan. He's not signed the new contract. And I always felt that him not signing the new contract meant that he was maybe looking for a move. It's coming out of Italy that it's going to be announced very, very soon that he is signing a new contract at Inter Milan, which obviously means there won't be a move this summer. They also linked him quite strongly to Manchester City and Pep, which I'd not read at all, which I found quite interestingly. But look, Milan Skriniar would have been a very, very good centre-back for Manchester United. 24 years of age, very dominant in the air, quite good on the ball as well. Clearly it's not going to happen, which is why I'm mentioning it, and I don't think we'll be mentioning Skriniar again because I do feel that there will be an official announcement about him very soon. But another centre-back option disappears, and it's interesting because you look at United yesterday and you try and pick up on, the way players are acting on the pitch, because although a lot of United fans left the game yesterday, there were a lot of players on the pitch for their lap of honour. There was some United fans who stayed behind, but nowhere near what you would expect if United had a decent season and hadn't brought on so much contempt towards them from their poor performances. I think De Gea and Mata, I'm 50-50 on whether they're going to go. Lukaku and Sanchez were actually having a laugh, so maybe they're not looking to go anywhere, unfortunately. So the centre-back situation becomes interesting because we know Smalling and Jones are going nowhere. Rojo probably will go. Twansibi's going to come back off loan. Eric Bay's injured. So you're up to 4 centre-backs potentially there. I still think we need to sign a top-class centre-back. And as I said, I think with Skriniar out the equation, De Ligt looking unlikely, I think you're stretching towards Koulibaly. Varane looks very hard to do unless we do it with a Pogba deal. Harry Maguire. So that's where we are with that. What do you think about centre-back options at the moment for Manchester United? Do we need one? Who do you think is realistic? Of course, Manolas, for me, still looks very likely because he's cheap. Herrera's gone. Very, very sad about that. That happened over the weekend. Didn't enjoy doing that video. Didn't enjoy that he didn't play yesterday. And I think we saw why we'll miss Herrera yesterday as well, because he's a very important player who gives his all, who gets what it's all about, and was sort of like the dictator of the team from that midfield. So he's gone. There's talk of Idrissa Gueye from Everton. Idrissa Gueye is a very good midfielder. I'm not going to doubt that, but I don't like the signing because he's old. He's the same age as Ander Herrera. He's 30 at the start of this next season. So I just don't get why you would let Ander Herrera go because you let his contract run down and he walks out for nothing, and then you'll sign Idrissa Gueye, pay him probably the same as what you would have had to pay Ander Herrera, plus a signing on fee, plus a transfer fee. It doesn't make any sense. And there's no longevity in it either. So Idrissa Gueye for me, although he probably would be a decent signing, it makes absolutely no business sense, and I'd rather go for somebody a lot younger. But he is a good player, Idrissa Gueye, and I think across Europe he's got one of the best tackling stats out there. So he's a good signing, but he's 30. So where's the longevity? Where's the Ollie? I want players here that are here for years and years. So I don't see Idrissa Gueye being likely at all. Jadon Sancho, I think we probably won't have heard the last of Jadon Sancho being linked to Manchester United. But the indications are that Jadon Sancho will be staying at Dortmund for another year. Of course, he's only 19 years of age. And why would he leave Dortmund? And I think what I said about Jadon Sancho and the likelihood of coming to Manchester United was this. We needed to go and get him this summer. I said this back in January. I've said it a couple of times since. We need to get Jadon Sancho this summer, because if he has another season like he has at Dortmund, it won't be United in the equation. It'll be City. It'll be Real Madrid. It'll be Barcelona. That's the sort of player, that's the sort of team who will want him, and I think that's the sort of place he will go. I think United's opportunity for Sancho is this summer. Get him now. Get him before he's too good to get. And I don't think it's going to happen, because I think he will look at the situation and go, for me, I'm settled in Germany. I don't see myself here long term, but I'm 19, another year in the Champions League, another year in the Bundesliga. I can do that. It's all about development. I'm happy. So I think United, to get Sancho, would have to do something ridiculous. He would have to want to move. I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility that Sancho could come to United, but I think maybe even a month ago I would have been quite confident, quietly confident. I don't think it's possible now, and I think United need to solve that right wing side. I mean, Daniel James was a player that we spoke about on Friday. He's more of a left winger. And also, I don't think he's a ready-made player to come into the team and challenge either. We saw United yesterday. We didn't create many chances against Cardiff. And you've got Rashford, Lingard, Martial, Pogba on the pitch. We need a right winger. We need a right winger who creates chances. And there's plenty out there. There's Hirving Lozano. There's Steven Bergwijn. And they're both at PSV. But there's plenty out there. There's plenty of right wingers that Manchester United can go and get. And they need to go and get them, because we need somebody on that right-hand side who can create. And I don't think that Jadon Sancho is going to be that player, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, season's over. It's all about the transfer window now. It's all about Manchester United. It's all about the ins and outs. What are you feeling? Would you like Manchester United to bring Tielemans in? Is Declan Rice really an option? The centre-backs, what are you thinking about centre-back now? Do we need one? Who do you think we should be going for? Midfield, Pogba. I mean, interestingly enough, going back to what I said at the start, Pogba, the way he was spoken to by the fans, do you really think that he will be sat there tonight or this morning thinking, I want to stay at this club? Whatever about whatever about self-reflection and whether he thinks he's been good enough or not, ultimately he's got a short career. He's seen a club that he signed for 3 years later be exactly the same position it was where he started, back in the Europa League, a very poor side. It's another rebuild. The fans don't appreciate him, quite rightly, but they don't appreciate him. I'm looking at it from Pogba's position and I'm thinking, first phone call this morning is to the agent saying, get me out of Manchester United. But United need to spin that positively, because what I would say about that, and you need to keep this in your head, if United are keeping Pogba and De Gea, then I would imagine our transfer budget is £200 million. If Paul Pogba leaves, that transfer budget needs to go up to 350 million. You need to get all the money from the Pogba deal on top of what you've got. If De Gea goes for 70 million, it goes up to 270 if we keep Pogba. The 200 million needs to be there no matter what to spend. And if you sell Pogba, you get the fee, you get that as well. So that is how I would be looking at it. United's 200 million should not be being spent on Pogba or De Gea replacements. That should be if they go. And if United approach the summer like that, then I think we could have a very, very busy and interesting one. Anyway, please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll be back again this evening. And have a good day. And I think it's very important now that we put last season behind us. From a United perspective, I know the season isn't over for others. We put it behind us and we focus on this summer. Because the next wave of negativity is going to be when the season starts. And if we haven't had a good summer, we can all have a moan. But for now, park last season, focus on the transfers. Let's see what happens. Thanks everyone for watching. Get your comments in below. I'll speak to you all soon.